Well, great. Looks like we're live now. Welcome, everyone. Today is November 9th. It's 3 p.m. We are having a virtual meeting. It is the Legislative Audit Commission. We're going to kick off our agenda today. On the agenda, we've got 3 issues. We have an update on the work done by the OLA office and interim auditor, Joel Alter. Thank you, Mr. Alter, for serving as well. An overview of the legislative auditor recruitment process with Michelle Weber, and then consideration appointment of Ms. Judy Randall as the new legislative auditor. So with that, I think what we'd like to do is, Mr. Alter, if you're ready, you could provide us with an update on the work that's done in the interim, and let's get rolling. Mr. Alter?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. And for the record, I'm Joel Alter, and I am serving as the interim legislative auditor. And let me begin by just saying a word of thanks to the leadership of the Audit Commission for appointing me to this role. It has truly been an honor and a privilege, and you might even be surprised that it's been a pleasure. I've been at OLA for a very long time, and it's really important for me to see this organization remain strong going forward. It's hard for any organization to lose a leader of Jim Noble's caliber. Not that there are a lot of organizations out there with a Jim Noble's, but this office has a staff of skilled, capable people, and I've relied on them, worked closely with them the last few weeks. 2 people that you know well, the deputies for program evaluation and financial audits, Judy Randall, Lori Lyson. They are tremendous, hardworking, dedicated leaders. They have multiple projects that are in the queue that are gearing up for release in the weeks and months to come. But it's been really very enjoyable for me to have an excuse to work more closely with them, to read drafts of work products that are coming along. And what I've tried to do is just ensure that a transition in OLA's leadership does not in any way slow down the work of those projects. And I think we're going full speed ahead. I've also worked with our legal counsel, Elizabeth Stawicki. For example, during my short time as interim, we've had 2 new data practices requests, and you've heard us talk about these before. As Elizabeth likes to remind me, every one of these is different, and the 2 that we saw come through the door in recent weeks are about as different as you can imagine. But we've tackled them. One of them is essentially completed, and the other one is ongoing. But I appreciate Elizabeth's diligence and her commitment to seeing that process goes well. There are other people that I could talk about in OLA. I will just briefly mention our business manager, Eric Jacobson, who juggles numerous issues, but who has been critical during this transition period. Eric is really indispensable. What I can tell you about these last few weeks, and I'm very glad to be able to report that it's been basically a crisis-free few weeks. It's been fairly uneventful, even though any week at OLA is somewhat eventful. We get, as you know, a steady stream of allegations, complaints. We get reports from agencies of disclosures of data. So there's always interesting things going on here, but fortunately, nothing too much out of the ordinary in these past few weeks. I do want to just briefly mention 2 items that we released during the month of October. One is a financial audit that we did of the Department of Human Rights. It was not a big blockbuster financial audit, no huge headlines, even though there were a number of findings in that report. But it was a reminder that, you know, even though we spend a lot of time at the big agencies like DHS and MnDOT, getting to these smaller agencies is really important. And we don't get there as often as we'd like. But when we go into an agency like Human Rights, there are often things that we find that are unique to small agencies. And so I think it's really important that we continue to try to get out to those smaller agencies as often as we can. In addition to that audit report, we issued a memorandum related to Southwest Light Rail Transit. Some legislators contacted us this summer, concerned about cost overruns on that project, and they asked for a special review. What we did instead is we corresponded with 2 of the primary entities, the Metropolitan Council and one of the main contractors on the project. It became apparent that there were some pretty significant differences of opinions between those two entities as they related to something that's called independent cost estimates. So we didn't resolve those differences, but I hope we illuminated them in the memo that we released. And it's certainly possible that we could do work further down the line on this, but we thought it was important to issue basically a summary of some of those issues that are still waiting to be resolved. So I think those are the main things I wanted to mention. You know, the short period as interim legislative auditor has been even shorter than the notoriously short presidency of William Henry Harrison. So this has been a really quick thing, but that's good. That means that the Audit Commission has done a thorough but very quick search for a new legislative auditor. I think that process has gone well. I've watched it from afar, and I really appreciate the leadership of Michelle Weber in helping to coordinate that process, and the help that's been provided by the other nonpartisan staff in getting us through the various stages. So thank you again for the opportunity to serve in this role. My main job has been to just basically keep the ship moving forward. We've been doing that, and I think we're ready now for someone new at the helm. So thank you again.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Alter, and we appreciate you being willing to take on that role in the interim. So we appreciate it. And just to reference, when we set the schedule for rehiring the new legislative auditor, I think we set that on September 14th, and today is the estimated date of completion. So rare, and that involves everybody on this on the commission as well as all the staff and supporting. So. Representative Hansen, question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I wanted to thank Mr. Alter. And since he referenced William Henry Harrison, I want to encourage him not to give any speeches in the rain and make sure that he remains healthy. We want to make sure he stays in his role. So thank you, Mr. Alter, for your work, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Hansen. And so with that, we do appreciate the work, Joel and Mr. Alter. And then what we'll move on to next is kind of the update of everything that we've gone through. Ms. Weber has done a good job of keeping everybody informed and all members who participated in the interview process. We thank everybody for that. And so, Ms. Weber, if you could provide the update and bring us right up to date where we're at. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. My name is Michelle Weber, and I'm the Director of the Legislative Coordinating Commission. When I met with you at your last meeting on September 10th, we reviewed a proposed plan for the recruitment and appointment process for the legislative auditor, and the commission adopted an outline of a plan that included 3 phases that were executed over the last little over a month or a couple months, I guess now it's been. So the position was posted, and it was posted for 4 weeks. We posted it in over 50 locations. So I just wanted to share with you, we really did a lot of outreach with respect to the availability of this position. We conducted the first phase. I want to thank Tom Bodern and Patrick McCormick, nonpartisan directors within the House and the Senate, who worked very closely with me, both in developing the initial process as well as the implementation of it. And so we did a resume review, we conducted first round interviews of candidates, and then made recommendations of candidates to advance to a panel of the Legislative Audit Commission. The panel that conducted the second round interviews included Representative Hansen, Senator Kiffmeyer, Representative Quam, and Senator Rest. Representative Erickson and Senator Frentz served as alternates and also observed the interview of the candidates. And that's what's brought us to phase 3, which is today, and the consideration of Judy Randall for the appointment by the full commission.
Thank you, Ms. Weber. Representative Hansen?
And to formalize the process, I would move the appointment of Judy Randall as the legislative auditor for the Legislative Audit Commission of Minnesota.
Thank you, Representative Hansen. Representative Hansen moves that the appointment of Ms. Randall as the legislative auditor. With that, I think beforehand, if we would like to take a couple questions, comments. Senator Rest.
Um, Thank you. I want to make sure that you can hear me. I've been having trouble with my audio. And
Coming through loud and clear.
oh, thank you so much. We worked on it this morning, so I'm happy to see it works. Well, I just want all of you to know, and Ms. Randall especially, what an absolute pleasure it was to interview her and to just be, quite frankly, blown away by the depth of understanding, perception, and ideas for the future of the OLA's office, building certainly on the foundation established by Jim Nobles, but it's one of those things where we're not done yet, and there are challenges ahead that I think all of us unanimously felt that Ms. Randall was just the best person to take us on that journey. And I just am so appreciative of her work. And I look back to a time when we were trying to do some reform on new programs that had a financial impact. And we stumbled a bit on those, and then we finally decided that was not the way to go, and that we would forge our own path. And that decision was largely influenced by Judy Randall. So I'm very pleased. We don't have a seconding process, but when the time comes, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to ask for a roll call so that each of us may express our assent to the recommendation from the interviewing committee, and however it may go. But I personally want to be able to say that I support her, and I want to do that with my voice, not just with raising my hand. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Rest. I believe a roll call is required, and if not, it's granted.
Good.
So we'll take it
I would
way.
request it anyway then. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Senator Kiffmeyer?
You're muted, Barry.
Senator Kiffmeyer, you're muted.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. As a member of the panel that did the interviews, I was really to it.
You're muted again.
Senator Kiffmeyer, you're muted again.
As we interviewed Ms. Randall and read her resume, it was without question that her credentials and her presentation was far and above the other candidate. It was really quite impressive when you think of all the questions and all the areas and the experience that she had. It really was stood out in a very, very strong way. And it's not often you get to follow in the heels of somebody like Mr. Nobles, and then you have a situation of having interviewing candidates who have to step into that. That's challenging. But none of that were significant, but also the fact of her enthusiasm for the future of the office. So while I think many of us are thinking we want to have a very good, well-run office, and we want to see that continue and all of that, but I also saw that she had a real heart and enthusiasm and named some specific things that for the future were items she had on her mind, and was definitely going to be in a situation of building on the good, but also stepping forward into the future and with enthusiasm. And I really want to commend Ms. Randall for that in her mind, just taking over from Mr. Nobles was not enough, that for her, that building on that, but then also stepping forward with ideas that she had for the future. And that really is the best of Mr. Nobles. He never did sit still and say, well, it's good enough last year, so we'll just coast. And so she's taken on that same kind of mantle of recognizing that. But I want you to know, members, between the resume and the presentation, it was far and above and stood very tall. And I think no matter which candidates, the extensiveness that they went through it all was such a great presentation and resume. There was no reservations whatsoever from any of us in commending and recommending Ms. Randall to the full Legislative Audit Commission. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Kiffmeyer. Anyone else have comments? I don't see any hands. Oh, Representative Hansen.
Just in closing, as the maker of the motion, there's no hesitation in recommending Ms. Randall. Her knowledge, skills, and abilities were clear in the interview. I think we've had the experience of working with her. Her experience shines through. No hesitation. Pleased to make the motion and pleased to vote for Judy Randall as the next legislative auditor.
Excellent. Thank you, Representative Hansen. And with that, I too want to express the same sentiments. Not surprised, grateful that Ms. Randall chose to run and apply for the position. All of us were grateful. Very few people are qualified, and it's not just being qualified, but being exceptionally qualified. And we've seen your work over the years that in the brief time that I've been here, have enjoyed the work and the professionalism. I know the foundation that you have to work with, and I know the future is going to be bright. I think you weren't here for the beginning of the Legislative Audit Commission, and I think we've talked in the past. It's gone through a few iterations. I'm looking forward to working with you, Ms. Randall, and as we look at, we have some new resources that we're going to be freeing up within the staff. And to me, that's going to be one of the most important things, that we're going to be able to get a look at things that we haven't done. And so I see this as, again, another, not a fresh start, but another iteration of how we make this body the most valuable for the legislature and to ultimately the citizens of Minnesota. And I trust everything in your leadership that we're going to be able to achieve those goals as we move forward. So again, thank you for stepping up and applying. So with that, I see no further hands. What I'd like to do is Representative Hansen made the motion to appoint Ms. Judy Randall as the new Legislative Audit Commission. I believe the effective date, I don't see it on camera, but I believe it's today, wouldn't it be? And so with that, Ms. Gilb, if we could take roll.
Okay. Senator Korean?
Yes.
Senator Benson?
Not coming, Mr. Chair, she's not coming through for us.
Yep. Ms. Gilb, your audio is difficult to hear.
Let's see if I speak up a little bit. Is that better?
No,
Helps, thank you.
not too much better.
Maybe Ms. Weber could help out.
Senator Benson?
Aye.
Representative Bernardi?
Bernardi, aye.
Representative Erickson?
Erickson, aye.
Senator Frantz?
Enthusiastic, aye.
Representative Hansen?
Hansen, aye.
Senator Kiffmeyer?
Aye.
Senator Klein?
Aye.
Representative Liebling?
Liebling, aye.
Representative Pearson? He is absent. Representative Quam?
Aye.
Senator Rest?
Aye.
11 yeses, 1 absent. That ends the roll.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Gilb. And I think I'll I'll refer to Senator Francis. That was an enthusiastic yes and affirmation to our new legislative auditor, Ms. Judy Randall. Congratulations, Ms. Randall. Virtual claps are allowed. Senator Rest, do you have a question?
Yes. Now that you are the legislative auditor, how soon do you expect to have a deputy auditor in charge of program evaluations ready to move forward within the 2022 legislative session for our selection of topics?
Thank you, Senator Rest. Ms. Randall, now that you've been given 3 minutes or 30 seconds to contemplate the future, Ms. Randall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. For the record, my name is Judy Randall, Legislative Auditor. First, it feels strange. Before I answer your question, Senator Rest, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you. It is it's more emotional than I expected. It is indeed a great honor, and I am really humbled by the trust and faith you have put in me. I'm a little scared too, to be honest, but what I know is that we have a great team at OLA, as Mr. Alter said, and so while I may now assume this position, it's really the work of the whole office that is filled with really smart, professional, competent staff. And so I'm really proud to be here before you in this role and to continue working with them and to continue working with you in this new role. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I'm really deeply grateful for this opportunity. Senator Rest, I am not surprised that you're already putting me on the hot seat, so thank you for that. I do have some thoughts about it. I have not been able to talk with the staff of the Program Evaluation Division, so would like to do that first, but my expectation is to take a pause for a little while. I've got some good senior managers, and I'm working on strong arming Mr. Alter to help for a little while as well. And so you'll probably still see my face walk us through the topic selection process in the spring. The division is pretty tied up right now. We're busily drafting our evaluations, and everyone's really focused on completing the reports that you all approved in the spring. So my expectation is that it will be something I take up in the next 6 months plus, but it probably will not be before then.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Randall. Any other comments or questions? Wow, I think the silence is a reflection of the confidence and comfort that Ms. Randall provides. All Minnesotans are going to be very well served by you leading this role, and so I don't know that the average Minnesotan will understand it, but I think everybody here does. But they should be comforted that your work, your past work, and we know your future work is going to serve the legislative body well, certainly the citizens of Minnesota. This is shocking. If we have no further comments, we have no further business before us. And we look forward to working on with you, Ms. Randall, as you develop and fill your positions, and as we go to develop and work on to learn more about what your future plans are, as well as the role and the direction of the commission and what our plans are. So if no further hands, I don't see any hands. There's no further business before us. Oh, Senator Kiffmeyer, right before the bell.
Yes, I think what I wanted to say to those of us on the commission, when you've gone through an interview process and you become the legislative auditor, it does take time to settle in. And one of the things that in our conversations with both the candidates was, what do they expect from us? And the importance it was for us to help support the work of the legislative auditor and the office. But once you've gone through an intense kind of process in interviews and all of that, it does take time, especially at this level, to kind of get the office all back kind of put together. And I think for us on the commission, we need to have Ms. Randall's back right now and giving her that space and that time to organize, do the work, all the things that go on inside that we never always get to see that much, but it's there and it's a lot. And so I think for us on the commission, eager as we are for some of these things, I know Ms. Randall, she's going to get to them without question. But I think for us to be a bit patient as we go through this and support that. That's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Kiffmeyer. And again, one final thank you and congratulations, Ms. Randall, to being the new legislative auditor for the state of Minnesota on November 9th. So thank you. And we have no further business before us. We will adjourn the Legislative Audit Commission. Thank you, everybody.